What's going on, family? Hey, I got some more good content for you. Let's get straight into it. Humans are required to be a certain amount of self-centered, and you see me keep talking about this subject because it really is so important. Because you will get yourself off track trying to follow anything and everything else, and it really won't be what's good for you or what you should be doing, which is be true to yourself within God's will and God's way, which is always the best result or the best way. So I'll take many different stabs at this topic, but it'll be good stuff. So humans are required to be a certain amount of self-centered. We are hardwired for it. You need to be self-centered in God, enough to know that following anything but God's will result in deep regret. You have to be self-centered, otherwise you will be led to self-destruct for others, and you will self-destruct for the most stupid and avoidable reasons. You have to be self-centered. Why? Because your life is the only thing you control how it goes for certain. Of all the noblest sacrifices you could make for someone, in the end it could all still go the way you didn't want it to go, because you don't control that person or their circumstances nor how they react to them. Should you really toss away and spend frivolously one of the most precious things you have, which is the only thing you have complete control of? Is it really a wise thing to exchange the one precious thing you have complete control of for influence over something you have influence over already, something you will only ever have a degree of influence over, no matter how much you convince yourself you can force the result you want out of someone else in someone else's life with your limited knowledge? I'm not against selfless displays of godliness by sacrificing your time, comfort, or even life. I'm just saying always within God's will, his good will that is pleasing to him, and within that on your terms, not theirs. Then one might think, well, wouldn't you regret it if worse come to worse? Wouldn't you regret it that you didn't do more for them? Yes. But the truth is, you could always do more for them. The question is, when is it too much? And you're going to regret it and blame yourself no matter what, because it would be a regrettable situation no matter what when something like that happens. And you are easily your own worst critic. And when you live life like that as your own worst critic, there is no hope for a pardon from the side of yourself that is almost like a completely different person, regardless of how hard you tried or how good your intentions were. From the side of yourself that is naturally overly critical, unreasonable, and unwilling and unable to justify and righteously, to be justly and righteously mindful of the undeniable factors that you couldn't possibly be expected to be able to discern to the level of perfection that's being asked of you. How could you possibly live up to the expectations of the miraculous? How could you possibly hope to measure up when your interrogator expects you to perform powers and perfections only found in the divine? How can you possibly hope to measure up when your interrogator expects you to perform with powers and perfection only possible for the divine? You're just a mortal man or woman. You aren't God, which is why you should always be grateful and give praise and thanks to the Lord whenever you realize you've made it through. Something you would have been under heavy criticism for by people who don't understand and who don't want to understand. They just want to judge, because those times it is only the grace of God that you are able to live up to the expectation, and not because you just got it like that and it could never be you. That's why whenever someone tells me what another person did, I always think of that person from a place of concern, because this person was obviously fighting a war that nobody knew anything about. And if they did know, they couldn't help. And I'm not preying on anyone's downfall. I'm not taking joy in anyone's suffering, because I've lived long enough to know if I wake up in that person's shoes from day one under the exact same circumstances, I would develop in the exact same way, because there is nothing so spectacular about me that I could come in this world just as dumb as anyone else, live their life, and still come out like I am now. It was only grace.